Hello everyone. Due to popular demand, I decided to kind of show off and go over my Darklord deck list. This is the deck I'm currently using. I do swap my deck around a lot, as needed. While I try to new stuff out, figure out what works, what doesn't work, but this is the most consistent that I've ever had the deck. I've been playing Darklords for a little while now. But yeah, let's jump straight in, top to bottom, left to right. So, first we have Maxi, 3 copies of Maxi. Maxi is just insanely good. It really lets you stand up to, the actual meta decks, the actual strongest decks in the game. It's pretty much the only thing that will let you compete with them. So you want to run. I can't imagine a deck that doesn't want to run this in 3, unless it's like a trap deck. So you definitely want to run 3 of these. 1 copy of Darklord Ukabak. One is enough. This guy is very good because he can, send anything to your graveyard. You don't really want to run more than one of him. It's not really that great when you draw him, because, he can, it's better to put him on the field, either from the graveyard or, through the effect of Morningstar. 1 copy of Ash Blossom. You can definitely run more than 1 copy of Ash. I'm not the biggest fan of this card, because it's not a deck that it's not a card that does too much against the stronger decks. The stronger decks can play around Ash Blossom very easily. It absolutely cripples weaker decks. If I get a bad hand and someone Ash Blossoms my only search, I'm probably just done for that game. But if you use Ash Blossom against Sky Striker, if you use Ash Blossom against, something like Tri Brigade, Virtual World, they probably won't care too much. They probably have different ways of, doing exactly what they want to do. That's not to say it's a bad card. It's a very, very strong card. I'm just not the biggest fan of it. If you want to run 3 of these, then you definitely should. Condemned Witch. I run 1 copy of this. I run Condemned Witch because she does search Forbidden Droplet, but she also has some synergy with a couple of the Darklord cards. So, during your opponent's turn, you can tribute this card, send her to the graveyard, and special summon any level 4 fairy from your deck. I play 4, so, that's definitely something that you can use. And, either you can get Capricus Darklord and, summon again on their turn, or you can do Indulged and, go +1. And she is a strict +1. She searches Forbidden Droplet for free, so she just adds an additional card to your hand. She is also a Dark Fairy type, so she can be used to fuse the first Darklord. So, that's definitely helpful. Again, 1 copy of Capricus Darklord. This card does a lot. She, for one thing, when she's sent to the graveyard, your opponent loses 500 attack and defense for every fairy monster on the field. And it's not hard to, get a bunch of, your Darklords on the field in one turn. And, you can send her to the graveyard with one of your spells, or you can tribute her, or you can use her for fusion. And, your opponent's probably going to be, very, very low, even if they have strong monsters, high attack monsters. They can usually be hit over by Darklords with their naturally high stats. 3 copies of Indulged. Indulged is great. She special summons a Darklord to your opponent's field, which is annoying. Generally, Capricus and Ukabak are my targets for that. But, depending if I have already ran through all of them, I might give them someone else. And she brings any Darklord card to your hand. Usually I'm using this effect to look for an Ixchel if I don't have her, or a Morningstar or Tez if I need them. Then we have Darklord Omdusk. I don't know if I'm butchering these names. I probably am, but it is what it is. And Omdusk is cool because he can, bring any Darklord card from your graveyard to your hand. He is a strict -1, which I'm not a fan of. It is annoying that you have to go -1 to do this. because he sends himself to the graveyard and one Darklord card in your hand to your graveyard. But you know, if you really need to bring something out, especially something like, you know, Morningstar, who can't be special summoned, or, you know, your Searcher, if you're, you know, if you know, there's something specific you need in your deck, or you really need to get your pop, then you know, he is a great option for that. Uh, you could probably get away with running two of them. I run one, but you know, he is a good card. I'm just not a fan of going -1. He also has naturally high defense, which is nice because usually Darklord cards are getting special summoned in defense position. There's Nastin. Nastin is cool because he's the only Darklord card you can special summon from your hand, and he's the only one who kind of special summons himself. But you know, you do have to send 2 cards to the graveyard to do it. It's not the biggest deal. You know, Darklord cards generally want to be in the graveyard, but you know, it can be annoying, and you know, sometimes you're just not going to have the cards to do it. Again, you know, not the biggest deal, but good card overall. You can probably, I say 2 is enough. I would run, I wouldn't run more than 2 of him. 2 copies of Superbia. I only have 2 copies of Superbia. I might be inclined to run another one if I had 3. This card's really, really good because, you know, he can special summon any Darklord card, well, any fairy type monster in your graveyard, kind of just for free. You can also special summon them in attack position, which is really nice. On top of that, he's a level 8 monster, which means he synergizes well with Trade-In. He's great for just dumping into the graveyard as quickly as you can, and then bringing back to help flood the field. 2 copies of Nurgle, again, another level 8. If I had a 3rd Superbia, I might only run 1 copy of him, but I do like this card a lot, because he, when he's on the field, all of your Darklord monsters are going to be doing piercing damage, and you know, this is really great for OTKs. If you get Morningstar on the field, you search this guy out, and you know, you have a couple of them, and then you know, you can lower their defense with Capricus. Generally, you can kind of just cut right through, you know, whatever your enemy's doing. 1 copy of Tez. You can definitely run 2 copies of Tez. Tez is really, really good. Sadly, he's a level 9, not a level 8, so he doesn't synergize with Trade-In. But, he is pretty much the only form of protection from destruction that the Dark Lords have. Annoyingly enough, he needs to be in the graveyard to use this effect. I mean, in the hand to use this effect. But it is literally a lifesaver because, you know, you can have a really, really strong board, but if the opponent plays Raigeki and, you know, you don't have this guy in your hand, you know, you'd be in serious trouble. Aside from that, you know, he has good stats, so definitely an option. 3 copies of Ixchel. I'd say 3 is mandatory. Ixchel is, I'd say she's probably like the best card in the deck. She sends 2 cards to the graveyard, herself and 1 other Darklord card, and then you draw 2 more cards. It's great because 1, you're filling up your graveyard. You know, you want to get your cards in there. You want to get Superbia in there. You want to get a couple of your powerful traps in there. But you know, on top of that, she's letting you dig further into your deck. And generally, the style I play is by, you know, dumping as much stuff into the graveyard as possible, and you know, bringing back the monsters so, you know, they can be ready to, you know, activate whatever effect they might need for the situation. 1 copy of Darklord Morningstar. This guy is the big boss of the deck, at least in terms of the normal monsters. For the longest time, I really underestimated this card. I kind of just saw him as fusion fodder for his fusion form. But this card is actually insane because he can really swing the momentum of games, you know, in just like a heartbeat. He can't be special summoned, which is one of the reasons why I was annoyed with him. He's a level 11. You need to tribute 2 monsters, but you know, it is worth it a lot of the time because, you know, you tribute 2 monsters, but you can bring, you know, another 4 monsters to your field and go for like an OTK. Um, you can also, you know, put cards in your graveyard depending on how many Dark Lords you have on the field. And on top of that, if they're Dark Lord cards, you gain 500 life points for every card sent this way, which is helpful because everything that the Dark Lords do requires life points, which is annoying. One copy of Monster Reborn. This definitely isn't necessary, but I like to have it just because if my, you know, dedicated in archetype Monster Reborn gets negated, I'm like, I'm screwed, you know, I'm like done. And having a second option is really good. So, you know, if I play this, it gets negated. I can play this, bring back Superbia, he brings back Ixchel. Ixchel can now use the one in the graveyard to bring back somebody else. So, you know, Monster Reborn, it's still a really, really strong spell card. It works well with the deck. I definitely think that it's worth having. I might even be tempted to play more than one if I could. Trade-in, this card is great for filling up your graveyard. You know, it works with Dark Lord Superbia, and it works with Dark Lord Nurgle. I only run 2. I used to run 3 of these, but I think 2 is enough now. Just because there are a lot of monsters that aren't level 8. Allure of Darkness, I run 2 of these. You could run 3. I don't really like this card so much, but it does work well with the archetype. You draw 2 cards and then banish 1 card. For one thing, this card is great bait for Ash Blossom. You know, I usually open with this to see if the opponent ashes it. But yeah, the sad part is that, you know, it does require you to banish 1 monster instead of sending it to the graveyard. But you know, that is something that you can kind of you know, work around depending on who you have in your hand or, you know, what kind of play you're going for. It is really helpful to just dig further and further into your deck. You know, we're trying to make the deck as unbricky as possible. And, you know, Condemn Witch, another reason why she's here is she's not a bad target for Allure of Darkness. Banishment of the Dark Lords. Definitely a card you run in 3. This is your Searcher. Don't really have too much to say about it. You know, just depending on what your situation is, you can bring whatever you want to your hand or, you know, whatever strategy you're doing. Dark Lord Contact, Monster Reborn. It summons your Dark Lords in defense position, which I find annoying. I don't know why it summons them in defense position. I don't know why you can't choose. I don't know if it would have been too strong, but it's bizarre to me. But not the biggest deal in the world. In any case, you can bring back Superbia, and Superbia can play them in whatever position you want. So yeah, definitely run 3 of these. These are, you know, probably going to be your target for the Searcher. But you know, having these is definitely a great option. Pot of Prosperity. This is actually a new addition. I've kind of just recently started using this. But I do like it a lot. So, you banish 3 to 6 cards from your extra deck, which is great because you don't need to worry about the extra deck too much with this deck. And, you know, you can then excavate as many cards. You can look at as many cards from your deck, from the top of your deck, that you banished, and then you can add one of them to your hand. Now, the turn that you use this effect, you can't use the effect of Trade-in, Allure, or Ixchel. But it is still great to, you know, be able to bring something specific. You know, 6 cards is a lot. That is a lot of your deck to go through. And, you know, the most important cards that you're running in 3 of, you know, like Banishment, Contact, you know, Indulged. It is very, very helpful. There are 2 downsides, and that's not being able to dig further into your deck and not being able to, well, your opponent takes half damage. But, I would definitely say that, you know, it's worth it. It is a very, very strong card, and, I can recommend it. I only run one for now. Maybe I'll run more in the future, but I think one is enough, and also I'm running real low on SR points, so it is what it is. One copy of Super Polymerization. This is just a great out for for troublesome monsters. It can also help you get a first Darklord on the field a little faster, since the dedicated fusion for the deck is a trap. But yeah, a great card. It's a very versatile card. Can be used in a lot of different ways. I highly recommend. One copy of Forbidden Droplet. I have 3, but I think that 1 is more than enough. I don't really think you need more than 1. And this card is a lot of fun. This card synergizes very, very well with Max C. If your opponent has created a crazy strong board and you kind of just have to deal with it, then Max C draws the cards into your hand, and Forbidden Droplet kind of negates all of their monsters, and you can get rid of cards you've drawn with Max C. Their attacks are also halved, so if you combine this with the effect of Morningstar, you can pretty much close out games instantly, just in one turn. Their attacks are low, their effects are negated. It's just a fantastic card. Highly recommend. And Darklord Rebellion, we run of these. The Darklord cards, they have very, very powerful trap cards, but they all have a cost. And the cost for all of them is that you have to send a Darklord monster from your hand or from the field to use them. And again, this isn't the worst thing, because Darklord cards do like being in the graveyard. Capricus is a great target for this, because again, once you get sent to the graveyard, you can weaken all of your opponent's monsters. But yeah, this card's great because it doesn't target. It does destroy, but generally you are going to have a target for this whenever you're, regardless of whatever deck you're playing. Darklord Enchantment, I love this card. It's basically the same as a Rebellion. It doesn't target, and you send one Darklord to the grave to use it. But instead of destroying a monster, you take control of it for one turn. And Sanctified Darklord. This one is a negation, and it has the bonus of giving you life points equal to the attack of the monster you're negating. I'm not the biggest fan of this card. It's okay. I mean, sometimes the life point gain is a literal lifesaver, but it's all right. It's definitely not my favorite of the 3, but you do want to run it anyway. Sometimes you just need a negate, and this will be your answer to that. And then of course Darklord Uprising, excuse me. This one, you can send one Darklord monster to the graveyard and fusion summon one Dark Fusion monster. It doesn't actually specify a Darklord monster. You can fuse other Dark Fusion monsters, but you're usually just using this to bring out the first Darklord. The sad part about it is that sending one Darklord to the graveyard, you feel it a lot more with this one than you do with the other 3 traps. Because, like I said, you're probably bringing out the first Darklord, 3 Dark Fairy monsters, sending 1 to the grave, so, it's taking you 4 cards overall. The life point gain is really nice, and I've gotten to, pretty high numbers with it. But, sometimes I prefer to just throw this into the graveyard and use the effect of one of the other Darklords to proc it, so I can bypass sending one of the monsters to the graveyard. So yeah, that about does it for the main deck. Let's go into the extra deck now. Starving Venom, Fusion Dragon. This guy's just super poly, material. It's the only reason why he's here. I mean, he is a good card, but I wouldn't really bring him out you know, normally I bring him out using my opponent's monsters. And, you know, he's just a strong option to have. Helps you get rid of troublesome monsters. There's also, Mud Dragon, I think. I don't know how to... Yeah, there we go. There's also this guy, Mood Dragon. I don't have him yet, but I hear he's another great target for Super Poly. I'm probably gonna craft him at some point. Eldritch, the Mad Golden Lord. This guy is here as a joke. It's literally just to be funny. I can use Super Poly, and there's so many Eldritch decks. I can steal their Eldritches and fuse this guy. They would never expect it. It's the only reason why he's here. The first Darklord, you know, this is kind of the win con. This card is very, very good. He hits the field, and assuming you used Morningstar as material, he can nuke the field. He can destroy every card on it. You don't actually need to use Morningstar as material to get this guy out. But, you know, he is definitely helpful to use that way. The way that I like to play the deck is to use this guy almost like disruption. So I have all the pieces ready, you know, everything on my field ready for the fusion to come out. And, you know, once my opponent has, you know, put enough cards on the field, but, you know, nothing too crazy, no, like, you know, no Omni negates or immune to all other effect monsters or anything like that. You know, then I use the fusion, I drop this guy on the field, and, you know, I kind of make them, you know, restart. And if I have Max C, then it's great because they've probably blown through their normal summons and they need to reestablish a board. And, you know, they would, they'd have to go through, you know, a lot of resources just to guarantee they don't get killed on the next turn. Dingris. This guy I just got from a random pack, you know, 2 level 8s. If you could tell, I didn't put too much thought into the extra deck. But, yeah, the, 2 level 8 monsters, I do run level 8s, and this guy does have non-targeting, non-destruction removal. Send 1 card your opponent controls to the graveyard, which is nice. I don't think I've ever actually used this guy, but, he is a very strong card. I've had him used against me, and it is a very strong card overall. But, you know, not the craziest in this deck specifically. True King, 2 level 9 monsters. The only level 9 monster in my deck is Darklord Tez. One day I'm going to have Darklord Tez on the field, and the opponent's going to put down a level 9 monster, and I'm going to steal it with Enchantment, and I'm going to summon True King, and it's going to be hilarious. But that hasn't happened yet. Obviously, you know, this guy's not needed for the deck at all. There are much, much better options. Again, it's just kind of a funny pick for me. Nightmare Phoenix. This card's just a very generic, you know, very useful card. You can fit this into nearly any deck. Just get rid of a spell or trap that your opponent controls. Only takes two monsters to use, so very, very easy to bring out. 2 copies of Condemned Darklord. This one actually is very important for the deck, obviously. So, Condemned Darklord can do a couple of different things, and everything she does is pretty good. So, for one, she can get rid of 1 card in your hand and bring any Darklord monster from your deck to your hand, which is useful. Again, you know, Darklord cards don't mind being in the graveyard, so, you know, you can throw Uprising in the graveyard or Enchantment in the graveyard, you know, whatever you want. And, you know, bring Morningstar. My biggest targets for this are Morningstar and Tez. Sometimes I'll use it to search out an Ixchel to just dig a little bit deeper into the deck. But for the most part, you're probably going to be searching out Morningstar. Her second effect actually makes it a bit easier to summon Morningstar, because instead of tributing monsters on the field, you can banish monsters from your graveyard. It's really nice when you have like Max C and Ash Blossom in there, and you know, you can kind of just banish those 2. They aren't really doing anything for you anymore. And get Morningstar onto the field. And lastly, she can she gains 500 life points for every fairy monster on the field. Not just on your side of the field, on the field in general. So, if you play Indulged, give them a Capricus Darklord, and, just get a couple of other monsters on the field. Let's say, Superbia, Ixchel. You'll get a couple of, you'll get some life points back from that. I run 2 of her. You don't have to run 2 of her. 1 is definitely enough, but it does suck when she gets taken out, and summoning her is difficult because she is a Link monster, and all the Darklord cards summon in defense position for some reason, except for Superbia. IP Masquerena. This card is... it's a little gimmicky, or at least the way I use it is gimmicky. Other people probably make better use of this card than me. But, essentially, you can Link summon a monster on your opponent's turn. And I guess we can come back to that a little later. Also, Link monsters that use this card as material cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, which is a really nice bonus, like a nice little extra. Anaconda, don't know why. Well, this card's useful because he can emulate any fusion spell in the game. So it's not hard to get 2 monsters on the field, and if you want to just use a super poly or something to get rid of something troublesome, then you can do that. You could also use him for Darklord Uprising. I don't think I've ever done that, because if you have 2 monsters on the field, you probably have an easier route to Uprising than this. Decode Talker, I don't think I've ever used this guy. He's just kind of there. He's just filling out space here. Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. This card's really, really good. So if you use a level 7 or higher, monster as material, he becomes immune to targeting and immune to destruction. And I mean, the lowest we have as a Darklord card is 6, not counting these guys. So, generally you're going to be able to get him pretty easily with this effect. And he has a couple of options. He can gain 15,000 after destroying a monster. He can banish a card on the field after destroying a monster. Or he can get a second attack during the next battle phase after destroying a monster, which I'm not a fan of. It's just annoying to have to, wait. But it is cool because you can use these effects twice. So, let's say you go for the second attack, next turn comes and he hasn't died yet, somehow. Then, you can destroy 2 monsters and then banish 2 cards, or destroy 2 monsters and gain 15 attack twice. I kind of treat this guy as like an alternative win condition. If first Darklord and Morningstar, get taken out somehow, he is a very, very strong option, and he does have some synergy with the Darklord cards. This guy, this is a card I haven't really used. I think he's kind of just like a great value version of Borrelsword Dragon. Essentially, he can hit over pretty much anything, except maybe Utopia the Lightning. I'm not sure if he would hit over Borrelsword. Probably not, honestly. But I haven't used him, but he does seem like a strong option. He's not too hard to summon. I've definitely had the option to summon him a lot of the times. So, if you have him, he's not the worst, but he's not necessary at all either. Apollysa, again, just a very generic, very strong card. This is an Omni Negate, so if you want to play a more negate-focused deck, then you can definitely get her out. Again, getting a bunch of Darklords on the field is not hard to do. So, Link summoning this card isn't that hard. And finally, Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. I really like this card. I've actually crafted her. Because I thought that she would synergize well with the Darklords. And she does, but she is very investment heavy, is the thing. So, as I've said a bunch of times, it's not hard for the Dark Lords to get a bunch of cards onto the field. You know, if you have Morningstar, you know, you can generally just absolutely fill up the field. You know, if their fusion spells, their archetype Monster Reborn, the actual Monster Reborn, the effect of Superbia, and the first Dark Lord, it's not hard to absolutely flood the field with Dark Lords. And, you know, that makes it a bit easier to bring her out. She is a Link 5. She requires 4 effect monsters. Now, the nice thing about it is that you can use one monster your opponent controls to Link summon this card, which means that she can get rid of very troublesome cards, you know, cards that can't be destroyed by battle or, you know, by card effects, cards that, you know, can't be, you know, targeted or are immune to card effects. You know, they won't be able to stop her from using them as material. The thing is, at best, you'll be using 3 monsters from your own field. And I just feel like her stats are just a bit low for, you know, how much investment she is, 3,000. Even if it was like 3,500, I think that would be a lot better. But, she is good for closing out games. Because she negates all the effects of cards on the field when she comes out, which is nice. She also can prevent your opponent from special summoning from the graveyard, which is definitely helpful. She completely shuts down certain decks, like synchro decks. I think have immense trouble dealing with her. You know, it can be troublesome against Tri Brigade as well. So you know, she is a good option. She does synergize with the deck. She just is very investment heavy. That is something to keep in mind. So yeah, that's pretty much it. As you can see, the extra deck is not something you should worry about too much. I would say what you need is 1 copy of the first Dark Lord, 1 copy of Condemned Dark Lord. If you have Super Poly, then Starving Venom Fusion Dragon is kind of a must. And, you know, that's pretty much it. You can get a little more creative with it. You know, there are plenty of things like, hold on. Yeah, like, if you want to run number 38, Hope Harbinger Dragon, Titanic Galaxy, this guy works. It's going to be pretty easy to bring this guy out. And he does have a negate, not an Omni negate, actually. It doesn't work on trap cards, but it does work on spell cards and monster cards, I believe. So yeah, that would work well if you want to set up a bit of a stronger board. If you want to stop yourself from just getting, you know, instigated by Raigeki or Lightning Storm, and you don't have Tez in your hand, you can have this guy on the field. He is a good option for the deck, so definitely something else to consider. You know, get creative with the extra deck, and yeah, I think that'd work about well. As far as the main deck monsters, this is you know, my go-to is, like I said, just trying to get as much stuff into the graveyard as possible. You know, through the effect of Ixchel, Trade-In, Nastin, and you know, occasionally Omdusk, depending on what I actually have in my graveyard. And you know, setting up for a first Dark Lord on their turn. I can drop this guy on their turn to you know, disrupt whatever they're doing as much as I can, or I could set up to have a Morningstar summon on their turn. So, you know, if they have a bunch of monsters on the field, I have a Condemned Witch and a Condemned Dark Lord on the field. I can use Condemned Witch to bring out Capricus, use Capricus to bring out Morningstar, use Condemn's effect to banish from the graveyard instead of from my field, and, you know, match them. If I have Condemned on Witch on the field, I also have Forbidden Droplet, so I can also shut down whatever they're doing with the Dark Lords that I've just brought to the field. But yeah, so that's about it for my Darklord deck. I've run many variations from this deck, and you know I'm always refining it. I'm always changing it as I play. You know I'm figuring out. I keep drawing this card and it's not helping me. I'm gonna get rid of it. But this is the least bricky that I've had the deck. You know it does still brick sometimes, and you know really sucks when it does. But what are you gonna do? But you know this is the most happy I've been with the deck pretty much ever. So that's about it. Thanks for checking in. See ya.